John and his wife Betty went to great lengths to sell what they thought could be a valuable item they had inherited from John's father. This adventure took them to Ouray, Colorado, where they had a delightful encounter with one of the town's most interesting characters, John. Okay. The topic is Benji, and the time is 8 minutes. You said you needed that.
It all started with this piece of gold ore. It also involved meeting a fascinating person by the name of Benji. Benji was sort of looked like this, and we'll tell a little bit about that later. What about this gold ore? Well, we inherited that in my family. My father, being a lawyer, sometimes received things that weren't exactly cash or fees. They came in the form of a bushel of corn from Vinatucci's corn farm, or it might have been something like this, a collector's item. Well, you think, well, this is a piece of gold ore. Why don't you just chop it up and refine it? Maybe you can get $1,200 an ounce, which I think it's selling for these days. Well, you couldn't exactly do it. The gold was all embedded inside this rock. So how do I know that? Well, we took it over to Hollenbeck's coin shop, and he analyzed it. He said, there's definitely gold in that piece of rock. So he said, I'm a collector, but I'm not interested in this rock. But I'll tell you who to contact. There's a gentleman in Golden, of course it's School of Mines, who might be interested. So got on the phone, and this man said, send me some pictures. We took some great pictures, sent them to him. He said, you know what? I'm not interested. My collection will not take that. Sorry, but you've got to get hold of Buckskin Booksellers in Ouray, Colorado. Talk with Robert there, the owner. So we called Robert, sent him some pictures. He called back and he said, yes, I'd like to see that. Well, it's not exactly around the corner, so we designed a trip around this last summer. We decided to go by way of Chama, New Mexico, where the Cumbres-Toltec Scenic Railroad runs, which is my favorite narrow gauge steam railroad in Colorado. And we decided to just camp there alongside the railroad, got to hear the trains and stuff, and then the next day head off to Ouray. Well, that's just out around the corner. That's like 5 hours away from there. So it's a gorgeous trip, though. It's beautiful country by way of Durango and Silverton. We got to Ouray, of course, gorgeous town. We got to Buckskin Booksellers. Shelves loaded full of books and minerals collections, gorgeous. He looked over this specimen, he said, wow, that is nice. I'm sorry though, I can't use it. He took some pictures of it. He thought about it a lot. He said, you know what? I have a friend here, another mineral collector. I've known him for 40 years. He's a real dear friend. Let me give him a call. He's in his 80s. He may be taking his nap now, but let's try it. So he got on the telephone, and Benji answered the phone. He says, I'll be right over. So he came over to Buckskin's and came in the door. Here's this guy, looked like he was living off of his Social Security. Nothing more. Looked just like this, except he had about 1 inch of dog hair on his sweatbands. But he was a fascinating person. I could tell that right off the bat. So we went over to the rock. We looked at it. And said, wow, that is interesting. Tell me where it came from. Now, for collector's items like this, what they need to know is where it came from. The guy in Golden said, I think it's from a mine in the southwestern part of the state. somewhere around Telluride. Well, I got over to Buckskins and he said, no, I think this is from a placer mine in California. He said, John, do you really know where this place? No, sorry. He said, what do you think you want for it? Well, have a clue. Maybe from $100 to $1,000, perhaps. He said, you know what? I'm taking a chance on this. He knew there was some value. He said, let's go for $100. I said, $100 will be just fine. He said, you know, I'm taking a chance on this thing, and if I come up with a value on this thing, it's a really good value, I'll send you some more money. He said this 5 times during our visit. I said, fine, okay, let's go. Let's go for it. And so he said, come with me. So we got into his high-end SUV, and we headed over to his house. He pulled out found this cash in his house, brought it out, paid us, and he said, come with me. So we got back into his fancy car and headed over to one of his he has 5 buildings in Ouray. He purchased them many years ago. Mortgages were paid off, and he said, you know what? I purchased these buildings a long time ago. I don't have any mortgage left on that, so I'm able to pass on the lowest rent in town to these guys. Well, he's been in the business as a small business owner for many years. He said, you know, I'm glad to be able to give some of these young business persons a break on their rent. Wow, okay. He said, but let's go take a look at something. So we went into one of these buildings, bottom floor, went all the way from the alley, we went in back door of the alley, all the way to the street. So the whole length of the building, now, it must have been at least twice the size of this room. Okay, so we went in the door. I mean, it was a little dark in there. It was a lot darker than this room, but I could see all these things. There were mining scales, there were photos, maps, like display of the Cripple Creek Mining District, Telluride, Ouray, one after the other, all the way around the room in these cases. He had minerals, maps, scales, all kinds of beautiful things, but fascinating. I mean, any museum would give anything. This thing was worth millions. He had even a machine where he cut up the minerals, polished them there, he just used it. And we also could see a big vat that had just been, it was still cooking full with acid that he was cleaning all these minerals up with. Wow. And there was even over in this Cripple Creek corner, a nice, big, beautiful portrait of a beautiful young prostitute. You know about Cripple Creek, right? What a time. Well, that was our own display, our own private tour in this incredible mining museum. What was really interesting, though, he told us, he said, you know, John, these minerals over here, particularly some gold minerals, I got from high graders. You know what high grading is? Art knows.
Of course.
Anybody else know? Of course, Mike knows.
No.
Okay.
I said engineers.
High grading is when miners steal gold from the mines that they're working in. So a major part of his collection was purchased from high grading. So my one question is this. Do you think I ever got that extra money?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
Not yet.
No.
What kind of story is that?